My name is David Mattson. I'm a grizzly bear researcher, and this video is about a report that I recently produced called The Effects of Pedestrians on Grizzly Bears. And here pedestrians just simply means anybody on foot. Reasonably enough, I think people who venture out amongst grizzly bears are afraid of the bears, certainly afraid of encountering them, but I think what people often lose sight of is that the bears are probably more afraid of us than we are of them. But this fear on the part of bears creates a certain volatility that in rare instances can lead to them behaving aggressively and even attacking people. The more predictable human activity is, the less reactive bears are going to be. For obvious reasons, they're better able to anticipate where we're going to be, when we're going to be there, and probably what we're going to be doing, so they can navigate around us without being fearful. An extreme example of what can happen when people are behaving in predictable ways can be found along spawning streams in coastal Alaska and Canada, especially where we have viewing programs. And so what we have is substantial numbers of people mixing it up with substantial numbers of bears, and overall with benign outcomes. And so it all turns out well. At the other extreme, we have bears off-trail encountering people off-trail or just wandering around in the backcountry. And that's going to be inherently unpredictable for the bear. And because of that, they're not going to be able to know what we're up to. So we pose more of a threat. And so it's under those circumstances where you get bears being more reactive to people. And in fact, where proportionately you have many more encounters result in the bear attacking the person. Bears react to people in a number of different ways. There's their immediate reaction to encounters with people, but there's also what I would call the displacement factor, where they've encountered a person and they move out of the area. And so the immediate outcome can result in bears moving just a few hundred yards. Displacement can result in bears moving miles. And then there's avoidance, where bears choose not even to come close to places where we are. And we're talking here about people on foot as well as people in motorized vehicles. The point being that people on foot can have an effect on bears. When people behave in predictable ways, it facilitates a process that's called habituation, where bears tend to lose their fear of people under certain circumstances. So an habituated bear will be able to tolerate being near people, will be less reactive, actually will pose less of a threat. And interestingly enough, it turns out that a disproportionate number of bears that choose to be near people, that become habituated, are young bears and females with cubs. Adult male bears are a threat to pretty much every other kind of bear. They're able to kill young bears. They're prone to kill the cubs of females. So the females and adolescent bears gravitate to where we are, often near hiking trails, as a way of seeking refuge from these larger males that are a threat to them and to their offspring. If we surprise a bear under any circumstances, they're going to react more strongly. They're either by running away or even becoming aggressive. So anything that increases the odds of surprise, ambient noise, for example, near a running stream, lack of sight distance, in other words, if we're in dense shrubs, that's not only going to impair our ability to see a bear, detect a bear, it impairs the ability of the bear to detect us. So anytime when we can reduce the odds of surprising a bear, the outcome's going to turn out better for both the bear and ourselves. There are potentially a number of things that we can do while on foot as a pedestrian to minimize the impacts on bears as well as reduce the hazards for ourselves. The obvious is just to be attentive of where we are in the landscape relative to where bears are likely to be. We can make noise. And so it's been recommended that people carry bells. And it's been shown in Glacier National Park that bells can be effective just to create that much more of a stimulus that bears can pick up on. And anytime a person goes off trail into areas that are not well used by people, we have to be cognizant that we're also increasing the odds that we will surprise a bear. But on top of that, paying attention to attractants for bears, whether we're going through a shrub field laden with berries, whether there's a carcass nearby, and you can pick up on that by listening for ravens, even listening for the buzz of flies, carrion flies, because those things will more predictably bring bears down to where we're active. All the evidence would suggest that under certain circumstances, just a person on foot can have pretty significant negative effects on bears. And there's, I think, a place for restricting human activity, closing trails so that we have less impact on bears.